So this evening we're going to be looking at a career planning. And so it'll be interesting for you to start thinking about why did you set up in business in the first place when it comes to planning your career? What was that all about? So when I'm working with individuals to start looking at where they're going in the business, it's really important the individuals are very clear about what their vision is alongside that of the business. So the business might have a vision, but do you have a vision? The business will have values, but do you have values? And the business might have a mission, but do you have a mission? The business might have goals, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but do you have goals? And to start thinking about this true why of why you set up in business, what was that really all about? And what's really next? So I'll take you through a scenario of somebody I'm working with currently doing a private coaching commission. The person has already set up a really successful business. They joined Iron Woman some 8 years ago, setting up a business. The business has now gone PLC and they turn over a considerable amount of money, and they've got a really tight team around them. And this person had almost reached a plateau of almost like, well, what's next? Yeah. The business has a very clear vision, clear values, a mission, got all the goals, but now the person's why has changed because they've already grown a business, and it is a matter of, okay, so what's next? What's my why now? And it might be this is you, it could be that you've already gone over a lot of the hurdles in your business and you're asking yourself, okay, well, what's next for me? What is that next thing for me? So when I first set up in business as a consultant, I think my first year was all just about surviving. Could I survive this first year and actually develop an income? And then after the first year, I recognized I could make an income, a really handsome income, but it was a matter then of, okay, this is just, it's more than just money. So what is it that I really would like to do? And so for me, I decided at that stage to start developing my career through my business. And I would say at least 70% of what I turned over or ended up being profit went into my future career. I put it into self-development. And I can remember when I signed up for Durham, to go to Durham University, I know my baseline cost per year was 12 grand. And that was a lot of money way back then. So that we talk about 20 years ago, I went to Durham and I was paying 20 grand a year, 12 grand a year for fees towards the university and everything else I had to pay for. But of course, it in reality didn't cost me a penny because it was all paid for through the business. So if you were to say to me back then, what would have been my why, I would have said I was using my business really in order to pay for training costs, because I really wanted to invest in developing myself in my business. There are certain pieces of equipment I've always wanted to get my hands on as a consultant. I put all that through the business. I've wanted to belong to different networks or different groups of people. I drove that through my business. So in a way, my business, it really was an opportunity for me to develop myself as a person, but really take me and my personal goals to another level. And we are the people driving our business, and I think it's really important we have those motivations, just like Yvonne has talked about. In direct marketing, they're very clear about their career path and very clear about all the benefits they can achieve by following this successful career path. Yet in business, we don't do that. We leave a lot to chance. It could be, we get a bit lazy and just focus on, the income as part of it. And we just forget about this whole developing of ourselves. So this person that I was talking to you about, we've already established that where she is now, the business is going to be successful and move forward. Yes, they're looking at philanthropic aims for the business. So that could be something you might be looking for in your business. Is it that you're going to sponsor something, or are you going to do a project in your business that's going to satisfy some kind of urge to work with a certain group of people? And this person's, just been open and honest now. They're going for an OBE and looking at what needs to be put in place and how does that person's profile need to be developed in order then to position herself for an OBE. And so we're gunning for all the awards that are out there that again could raise her profile. We're looking at getting her on certain boards. We're looking at her getting into certain publications and getting alongside certain people. And all of that is really developing her. Yes, it's developing her personal brand, but it is developing her career as well. So I'd like you to think in some ways outside the box of your business. When it comes to you as an individual, what could your career goals be alongside how you develop your business? So I'd like you to start sort of scribbling down, your why. Why did you really set up in business? Was it for the hours? And are the hours still important to you? Because I can remember setting up my business saying, oh, I want to be Cheryl Bass International. Yeah. But when I really got down to it, I didn't want to travel internationally. Yeah. So we say these things, and really we're saying things that we expect people in business to say, oh yeah, that's really exciting, that's really sexy, saying, oh yeah, I want to be an international consultant. Yeah. Well, it's no good if you don't want to travel. Yeah. So what is it that you set up in the beginning that you thought afterwards, oh, that was a load of tosh, or that's not relevant anymore? So, and start thinking about what were you really trying to achieve? When I first set up in business, I was challenged by childcare. And I think I would have been happy just having an income that replaced a salary that worked around school hours. But very quickly that came off the agenda. So my priorities changed. Again, have your priorities changed? Could be around childcare or elderly care. Does that still apply to you? And was it about money? For me, all I was interested in was replacing an income. And I set myself a goal, a quarterly goal for my income. And I know, what I tried to achieve in a year, I achieved in 3 months. So yes, I set very demanding money goals. And when I set them, I achieved them, but I achieved them way in advance. So again, are your money goals too simple, or are they not challenging enough? Was it about being your own boss? I love being my own boss. I think I was a bit unemployable even when I was employed. I think I must have been the worst employee ever. I can remember, just walking out one day at 3 o'clock and they said, where are you going? I said, well, I've done enough today. I'm off. And they said, you can't go. It's 3 o'clock. And I said, I can, because last night I worked all evening. But didn't realize, when you're an employee, they just expect you to work 9 till 5, and any overtime, they expect that as well. So yeah, I love being my own boss and working the hours I love working. For me, a huge part of being self-employed has been about advancing my own training, whether that's doing training online or whether it's been even reading or belonging to certain associations. But for me, since I went self-employed, I did my, what was the first thing I did? I did an MBA, then I did the CIPD, then I did NLP practitioner, master practitioner, then train the trainer, then I did transaction analysis, and then I did, did clinical psychotherapy for 1 year and then organizational therapy for 7 years. I think I was a learning junkie when I first became self-employed. And I think I went on a whole learning holiday really for about 20 years. Yes, it was really important with me about I Am Woman, about building a brand. And I put a lot of money into building a brand. Where am I now? I'm really starting to think about the kind of aspirations I have for me as a brand going forward, and exploring lots of options there about reopening up different friendships that can get me into different markets. And I know I want I Am Woman to stay exactly where it is, as far as I want to work primarily one-on-one with individuals and their businesses. I do not want to set up a franchise network, which is what I wanted to do originally. For me, it's all about working with individuals and making significant changes to individuals and their businesses. So I'd love you to run us through your why on those principles. So Bethan, can we start with you? So can you run through this why series for us, for you?
Yeah, I definitely had a bit of a reactive setup to my business. So I had obviously this crazy experience in Dubai that wasn't what I anticipated it to be. I was quite cruelly treated, and one of the biggest parts of feedback that they would always say to me is that I didn't have any fire in my belly. I didn't have any ambition. I didn't have all of these vague critiques that I couldn't actually fix. It felt like there was nothing I could do to make it better. So I do think a lot of why I set up my business was a little bit of a when I got home that I was like, proved you wrong. I've got my own business now, showed you I am ambitious. But realistically, I've always done it. I was 18, I was freelancing before I even knew the word freelancing. To learn marketing, I went to businesses and offered support and did it for free to get started. So I think it's just something that really drives me to help businesses. Like I genuinely find it fun to see how and support businesses grow. And I can't do that as an employee because I'm not ever given the level of control to be able to make the choices to see the growth. It's never my thing that becomes I'm delivering someone else's plan. Whereas when I'm working for myself, I'm able to put those plans into place to help the people I work with grow.
Okay.
And obviously, no cap on what you're getting paid is nice plus.
Was it about money?
Um, you know what? I don't think it was initially, because otherwise I think I would have focused more on my corporate career. If I wanted money more, I had an opportunity to be at director level, and I opted to walk away from that and focus more on balancing and building my business alongside. It's definitely a driver. Like I want a nice life, don't we all? But I don't think that I'm fully motivated by money. I don't think that's the number one reason for me.
Okay, so where did your career sit in all of this?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So what about your career, your plan for you as a person alongside building a business? Where do you sit as far as your career building this business? Who's
I
developing you?
Pardon?
Who is developing you, and how are you getting developed?
Well, I'm quite regularly attending like marketing conferences and trainings. I can't say I'm doing any kind of formal education on the subject, but I am doing an awful lot of regular upskilling. I find in marketing, if you go and do a course on it, it's all already outdated. So I actually prefer to do a lot of courses and trainings rather than any kind of formal like masters, etc., and that sort of stuff. But I do a lot of that. I really enjoy it. I'm always on YouTube looking at someone who's developed a new, like testing a new strategy online and that sort of stuff. So it's always fun to learn.
Okay. Has your why changed? So what is your why now?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think I've still got the main gist, but one thing I really wanted when I left my full-time career and was like, right, let's go all in on the business. The agency was something I desperately wanted. I really wanted to be an agency owner, and I had a very big hook on that I wanted to be an agency owner. Now I actually really enjoy a lot more the coaching of what I do and the online education portion of what I do. So like my group program, I'm in the process of developing out courses and webinars and speaking, and that is a complete out of the blue thing that I never thought I'd want to do, that I'm enjoying a lot.
Okay, so you obviously have a plan of where the business is going forward. So where do you think your career is going forward alongside that business?
I really struggle with that question. When you were talking, I was like, I see them as this two in the same, because I drive my business. Where I want to go and where the business want to go are the same things in most cases. We are continuing to like grow the agency, but I guess my focus is on doing less agency style work and doing more of the coaching and education.
Okay, so perhaps we can start thinking about Bethan's career as we go forward, yeah? So, because for me, I think, Bethan, you have amazing potential. And so I could see you almost like being an advisor to local government with regards to small business needs. So I'm thinking more along those lines of, it's almost like your profile, seeing you as having a bigger profile as part of your career development alongside the business, because I know the business has a vision and goals, but I see you bigger than that business.
Interesting.
And
I
so,
mean, that I've got to say that doesn't appeal to me. I worked in third sector, so I've always been very attracted to the concept of having, like, you look at Marie Forleo, you look at Amy Porterfield, you look at these online business owners that seem to do launch after launch after launch of products, and kind of, you could ask people in IBM, Deloitte, like, who's Marie Forleo, and they'd go, I don't know. And they're these huge business women, but they're still relatively under the radar, and that to me is very appealing, more so than kind of being a business name, a businesswoman, if you know what I mean.
okay, so what legacy would you like to leave then? Put it another way.
The support that I offer to business owners. I do a lot of free YouTube social media content to be able to just help people on those lower rungs. So I would like my business to then just be continuing on to take people higher and higher. So that's the big focus for me.
All right, interesting. So coming to Karen then. So Karen, can you run us through your why answers? You're on mute, Karen.
Yeah, I swear they just developed that mute button just to really annoy everybody. Originally, when we moved over to Ireland, we knew that because we no longer had my salary, because we had my son, my childcare costs were basically my salary. So when we moved over to Ireland and we didn't have the mortgage, we didn't have council tax and stuff like that, then we were no worse off if I didn't work. So money wasn't the main motivator. But my son was about to start to go off to school, and it was just like, well, what do I do next? I don't want to sit down watching TV every single day. So part of it was just because I was bored, to be honest, and I needed something to do. I've always worked since about the age of 14. When I was old enough to legally go out to work, Mum had me doing a paper round. And from that point onwards, I'd always worked. You know, I'd always had the 9 to 5. So I wanted something to do. And, you know, it was a case of, well, what do I do? I can't go to a local hospital because it's too far and it doesn't fit with school. Do not want to work in Tesco's because I've already got a bad back and I don't need any more. So for me, it was almost having something to do, but that was worthwhile, that gave me some sense of purpose. I think is possibly the best way of looking at it. As I've developed, I've realized that I've got a thing about creativity, that's important to me. I like being my own boss, to set my own hours. I've done so much training that I wouldn't have done otherwise. When I worked in the NHS, if I wanted to do a course, then it would be whoever was in that order. And when I did one of the courses I want to do, I actually paid 50% of the cost of it myself, just to be able to get onto the course. It was essentially essential for what I was doing anyway. So I was always a bit of a self-starter in that respect. And since I've done my coaching course, I've been and done Tony Robbins events, I've been to other things as well. And I think for me, there's been so many different things that appeal to me that I couldn't have done if I was working for somebody else. And learning that I wanted, that I needed that creativity, having access to Zoom where I can connect with people. It's just been, it's been the best journey. It's not been the easiest journey by any stretch of the imagination. And now I do need to earn money for what's going on now. But when I started out, it was purely just to have some sense of purpose, some reason to get up in the morning, and something that, I'm more than just a mum. I know I'm not an employee anymore, but I have to do something, if that makes sense.
And it's really interesting watching you, Karen, come in front of the Iron Woman dragons. And I think I reminded you during that presentation that you'd spent these years actually building equity within the business, because you've been developing product, and your product is worth a lot of money, because some people forget the value of the product they've built in a business should sit in a balance sheet, and so we can be reminded of all the hard work that we've actually put into building that business. And I can remember one company, they were filmmakers, and they'd forgotten about all the ideas they had on a slate that were part developed. And when we were looking for investment funding for them, we actually used the slate in order to provide match funding to pull in grant funding. So again, it's about being clear about what we are doing in the business. So, if we've written a book, it's equity. If we've developed product, it's equity. If we've developed websites and all different sorts of online learning, it should sit on the balance sheet. So again, it's almost giving yourself the pat on the back, and for people to see just how much of you have honestly invested in the business. So I'd be interested to know, as we go on, Karen, what your next steps are. I just want to touch base with Beth and Yvonne quickly for them to run us through the why, because I've got lots of other slides I want to move through to. So Beth, over to you.
I hadn't thought about this until tonight, but I can see now my why in my previous business is very different to my why in this business. So my previous business was all about, I just needed to be able to make enough to pay the mortgage and work around my son. That was it. One of the reasons I left that role was because it wasn't challenging. Whereas what I do now, I had to go and retrain. There's constant training. I never, ever stop having to learn. One of the big goals now, and it's for me rather than the business, is to become chartered financial planner. So I'm in the process of doing effectively a master's alongside working to get that title. I don't need that to do the job, but it's something I want to do for me because I want to make sure I hit that marker really. The other thing in this job, I needed to work with people, and I hadn't realized before how much I needed that human contact. It's not about, I do set myself targets, financial targets, but that's not really what drives me. So I wouldn't say my why is necessarily money. It's nice, but it's not why I do what I do. And thinking about me moving forward, the other thing, not to do with the business, but personally, is I want to do a lot of mentoring. So I came into this job through an academy structure. So for 6 months, I was in Solihull, living in an Airbnb, going through an academy program to fully qualify. And that academy relies on fully trained advisors to go in and help the newbies. The fully qualified advisors don't get anything out of that other than the fact they've helped mentor the next generation. So moving forward, for me, not the business, that's something I want to get into.
Lovely. Thank you, Beth. Thank you for that clarity. Over to you, Yvonne. What would be your whys running through this?
Okay, so my whys when I originally set up in Forever was to earn a good income. And I have to say that's still one of my goals is to earn a 6-figure income, because I knew I wouldn't earn it in the day job. But it's also setting up my new business is to use my expertise and to be my own boss, to have that flexibility to build my brand so people are aware of who I am. Because not in a proud way, but I do want recognition for the expertise that I have. And I think sometimes if you work for somebody else, your expertise and your knowledge and your skills can just get lost.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I want to continue to grow and hone my skills, continue learning, because I think there's always something to learn. But yeah, I set up my business to be successful.
Right, thank you. And I'd like you all to write down, so we can be really clear about this, that your career is how you want to develop yourself to achieve the life you want. So my career is how I want to develop myself so that I can have the life that I want. And by the end of this, I'd love us to all get to that stage where we know what we want to do or things we'd like to do to ensure we are developing ourselves and our career in order to have the life we want. Yeah. Yeah. So moving on. So, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we all need to have a plan, because where your mind is heading, your body will follow. So if you don't have a plan and a direction, you won't have a plan and you won't have a direction. So it's really important you start career structuring, identifying where is you want to go, how you want to get there, and what is that what all about. Because I know with Karen, for example, her what is very much based on products and services. She just loves developing products and services. And when she's finished developing a product and a service, she knows the next product and service that she wants to develop. Yeah. So in some ways, Karen's career could involve her developing products and services and just selling them off and moving on to the next thing, just patent them and sell them on, because by the time she's got to the end of it, she's on to the next thing. And being very clear about, the why. And what are these benefits to you and others? Have you worked out what benefits you want to have in your business? Just recently, I've been thinking about, I might have a bit of arthritis in my hand. I can remember saying to Andrew, I think because I couldn't get my hand to go right down first thing in the morning, I said, I think it's half-rightus because my hand is only going halfway down. And but when you think of how much gardening I've done over the last weeks, it's a wonder my body still moves. Yeah. But it was that recognition. I thought, what if I need to go private? Why aren't I paying for private medical insurance through my business? Why aren't I paying for more benefits within life insurance through my business? And I think as well with our careers is recognizing how we develop ourselves can reflect the kind of tribe we want to learn alongside, the kind of staff we bring in alongside us, or the kind of partners we work with, and the kind of contacts we want to develop. So I'd like you to think of your career then in terms of, where do you see this career happening? Thinking back to that lady that I'm working with, it's very clear where her where is. Yeah, she sees herself sitting on senior boards. She sees herself winning lots of top awards. Or Karen as well, and remind me, because she wants to write a book. Yeah, so she realizes, part of the what is that she sees a book as an important part of that journey. That's going to help her career. Perhaps, Karen, you haven't thought of people using a book as part of their career advancement. Yeah. already thinking of the other kind of benefits she can bring to other people as part of her career structuring. She started thinking of philanthropic projects she can do and the kind of people she'd like to help. And she's very clear about the people she wants to work with now, the people she employs, the partners she wants to work with, and the kind of contact she wants to build. So I'd like you to start thinking about, as you structure your career, you know, where is it you want to go with this career? How do you see yourself getting there? What kind of goals do you have? Are there new products? Are there new people that you want to get alongside? What is the what? So are you going to be doing lots of PR and branding around you in order to elevate you and your brand? Are you going to write a book? And, you know, what is your why? You know, it could be, my only why might be, I want private medical insurance next year, and that's going to be high priority on because that's going to really affect my career if I can't work. Yeah. And that's going to be part of my career structuring. And there, you'll notice in Iron Woman, there's a certain sort of woman that's part of Iron Woman. It's an Iron Woman tribe. Yeah. And there have now been 2 people I've barred from Iron Woman. I can remember the last one was about 8 years ago, but just recently I barred another lady. So there's a certain tribe and people either fit in or they don't. Yeah. And I know the kind of partners I want to work with and the kind of contacts that I want to build as part of my career structuring. So I can't run through everyone. So I'm just going to go to Yvonne because she had sort of a short piece last time. So Yvonne, run us through your career structuring based on these questions.
Right, so my career structure is, where do I want to go? So for example, in my Forever business, I want to be an Eagle manager. I do have a vision board already, as you may imagine, to get me there. So I know what I need to do. I know who I need to work with and who's going to help me to do that. And I know what time scale I'm going to do it over.
Okay, what does that vision board say?
That vision board says that I need to build a bigger team. I need to talk to more people. I need to update my people skills so that I'm better at talking to people, better at picking up the phone, because I think we've forgotten how to use the phone. We jump onto Zoom very quickly now, and I think it will be good to revisit my phone skills. Yeah. So there are lots of little things I need to know. There are new products coming out that I need to go on training for. So I need to just keep my skills up to date. And I do a lot of personal development reading as well. So I need to make sure that I do my, you know, my mindset and my blueprint every morning and every night.
And it was quite interesting, wasn't it, Yvonne? We did a whole session together on the tribe, your tribe, the kind of customers that you want to reach out to. So can you tell us how you've refined the tribe that you want to get alongside and the partners, the contacts? Because there's a certain sort of people now you've recognized it's going to be faster for you to build your career working with those as opposed to other people.
It is. I've joined some different groups on different social media now who are looking at, some of the groups are now product based. So people who are looking for a healthier lifestyle, perhaps people particularly looking around gut health. You'd be surprised how many people want to just improve their overall health and their digestive issues, which is weird. But that's found me loads of people. And people on LinkedIn, there are lots of people there. If you just take time to look, who are just looking for something extra. They're bored with the day job. They want what we've talked about tonight. They want the freedom. They want the flexibility. Some just want an additional income.
Right.
So it's about, I think for me, just being a bit more aware and looking at people and reading people's posts properly.
Great one. So
those connections and getting them offline as soon as you can, so you can actually meet them or talk to them.
So, you know, Yvonne is a great model of success for us on this. But it's no surprise because she's in direct marketing, and those are the best career planners. Yeah, she's very clear where she wants to go. She's got a vision board. She's even got steps then in order to break down this vision into mission and goals. She's very clear about her products and her services. She's very clear where the people are that can help her build her career plan. She's very clear on the benefits she wants and how the benefits help people that get alongside her to help her develop her career, and crystal clear about the tribe she wants to connect with. So a great model of success there. So moving on, start thinking about your budgets then. So have you set aside a budget of what time and what money you're going to set aside for developing you? Or does all this just get forgotten about? So I'm going to come to Beth the Pound. So Beth the Pound, do you have a budget of money and time that you set aside?
I do. So to get chartered, I need to do over the summer, I need to finish a coursework element. So every Friday is set aside. I don't see clients on a Friday, that's coursework day. I know exactly what it's going to cost me to finish all the units I need to do. So I know that I do the coursework over the summer, I know what that's going to cost. I've then got to start 2 more units for exams early next year. I know what they're going to cost. And I know from having already done some of these roughly how much time each week I have to allocate. And I actually put it on my diary. It's put in as though it were a meeting. And it's set in stone. My PA knows she doesn't move that time. If that's set in the study time, that is study time. It's as important as any meeting with a client. Right. So I've actually worked out how much time I need between now and the exams in April, how to break it down per week. And I've actually blocked it off.
I think this is a hypothetical question then, if you feel any sense of guilt connected with it.
I don't, because I know that from the bits I've already done, it's made me so much better at my job. My clients are benefiting. So there were questions people would ask me 2 years ago, tax related, before I'd done the tax units, and I'd have gone, I'll get back to you. And now I can confidently say to them then and there, right, this is what this means. So the time I've put in is benefiting my clients. So I feel no guilt whatsoever. And I genuinely know that what I'm doing, although it's not required for my job, it makes me better at my job.
Right. What about you then, Karen? What about this? Do you have a budget for your development, or do you see the programs that you're developing and learning as you're developing them part of that learning?
Pretty much that, because one of the things I want to do is look at licensing, for example, the Publish a Book in 1 Day courses. So what I'm going to be doing in the next 6 months or a year or so is looking at what training courses are there around licensing products and services so that other people can do them, and what I need to set up in the background that I can teach people how to do what I do, make the resources available to them that they can do that. So for me, the learning curve is more about what I need to do based on the plans that I have for the future, and what gaps I have in my own knowledge and where I can find them. So for me, it's mainly seat of the pants stuff, where suddenly realize I've got a bit of a skills gap. Where do I find it? Who do I know that can help me with that? What's available on YouTube? Who do I know that knows somebody who knows somebody who can help? So and to start off with, it was, when I was seeing successful people, I was seeing people who'd gone on to the Tony Robbins course. So I wanted to do that, and eventually I did it. When it came to business, I saw an awful lot of people who were doing B school, so I did that as well. So I just sort of following other people's trail and then setting up my own and seeing what was there.
And it's been amazing working, in organizations now. I've been, a business coach for 30 years. And I would say the majority of training in corporates is not people going on courses. It's usually about them shadowing other people, just sitting alongside other people or meeting people, or, going into an organization and just watching what they do. So we forget that, we call it sitting by Nelly, you know, a form of training is, you know, is the most popular way within corporates for people to learn. Just getting alongside somebody who's really good at doing what they do. And I wonder, you know, if we do enough of that in I Am Woman, do we really get alongside people as much as we could get alongside people? You know, as a matter of, could we have some work experience shared between people where we really get a sense of who people are? I would love to be with Beth the Pound for the day to actually see just how thoroughly she organizes everything. And Yvonne, you goal setting the to the extreme that you do. I think that's absolutely amazing. And Karen, you know, just really experiencing Karen helping somebody publish a book in a day. I think that would be just awesome. Or, you know, getting alongside Bethan and just seeing how she makes sense of how somebody pulls together their business in marketing terms. So I think, you know, perhaps there's an element there. Perhaps we need to be doing a lot more understanding of each other by shadowing one another. And how would that, you know, help us sell other people and their careers? So, so moving on to you, Bethan, how would you put your time and budget aside to develop you?
Yeah, so I have a Monday afternoon is like my planning day, and that's always used for either developing products or developing something that like we want to do in the future planning of the business. So that like whole where, what, how, why is very clear. And it's just that's the day that I get to work towards it. So we have a whole breakdown on Asana, our project management tool, of like what's next. What's the next product to be launched? What's the next thing that we want to do? Like right now we're launching out that we're doing events every month. It's something that I've always wanted to do more of, and now we're just going to make it, this is a rule, this happens monthly. So yeah, I definitely do. There's not a huge amount of budget put behind it, but because most of it is about learning and developing things rather than spending.
All right. Have you put it on in your accounts in any way? Because it is an investment you're making into the business. You could put it as an income as far as R&D.
No idea. No idea. I'm having an absolute nightmare with my accountant actually. So we're moving on to a new one. Hopefully they'll be able to tell me things like this.
Okay, so when in my fashion design days, we did exactly what you did, Bethan. On a Monday, we would use a Monday just for researching new designs, new colors, new fashions, who's doing what, sampling, all sorts of stuff. So again, that is, you know, it's career building. It's taking time out to, you know, sharpen the saw as well. So moving on, number 7. So start thinking about, you know, what is it that you need to learn to grow your business? If you are learning, you know, what does that look like? You know, an idea I've had this evening off Yvonne was all about, gosh, I hadn't thought about the fact that, you know, we've so stepped away from using the telephone, but developing telephone skills again of selling on the telephone. Yeah. So yeah, so I'd love to know how to sell on the telephone again. So, and you know, is it college based? Is it experientially based? Is it online based? But where are the gaps now in your learning? It could be coming out of COVID. Are there some gaps there? Is there a lack of R&D there? Is it that you've always wanted to write a book? I know for me, you know, I've signed this year, I'm going to be doing a signature book, and I know I still have yet to start it. Yeah, but you know, that's part of my career path, so I've got to get back on track. We sort of dropped out of our meetings, Karen, haven't we? So we've got to get those back on track, and I've got to get that signature book written. So again, you know, have you promised yourself and your clients a journal? And you haven't done that. You know, what is on your career path that needs to be done, and how do you intend to do it? And then start thinking about your whole job in your business. You know, when I work in corporates, and I'm stepping into one tomorrow morning, and I'm actually doing an appraisal of the person who owns the business. And of course, Karen knows this because we've done this as part of Aspire. So it's quite a novel thing for this CEO to suddenly be asked, okay, what's your job in this business? And they are clueless what their job is within that business. So tomorrow we will be putting together their job description. And in particular, within that job description, I will want to know what budgets that they are managing within that business. So I'll want to know their numbers as far as what numbers they are responsible for, forwards and backwards and every which way in between. Because yes, they line manage around 10 other people within their business, but I need to know what's their job. And when they start sending budgets down line, is remembering they're in charge of sending those budgets down line. And at the moment, it's a bit of, there are lots of spaces then of what is happening in that business. I want to know, what that person does well and not so well. And I'm going to be appraising that person and their performance, but it could be, you need to ask yourself the question, who appraises you and your performance? And based on your job, what do you do well and not so well? And how is somebody going to keep, their finger on the pulse of your performance in your business? And start thinking about what actions you're prepared to take to grow. This person in particular wants to step away from their business. So they want to have less hands-on within their business. But in order for them to be less hands-on, they need to know the numbers in order to supervise the people. They need to do the jobs for them. So they become the conductor as opposed to, playing the drums and then playing the trumpet and playing everything else. So, and who's watching you doing all this? So I'd like to know from you, what does the business need for you to do? So I'll give you an example. It must have been about 20 years ago when I first started becoming really strict with myself as far as, who's appraising me because I'm in charge here. I actually sat down and did my job description in order for me to find out what my business needed me to do, because I was all set for doing another qualification. And I thought, no, what does my business actually need me to do? And I discovered what my business needed me to do was to learn. I started looking at, who do I want to emulate? And I wanted to emulate Stephen Covey. And I started watching Stephen Covey online and looking at his presentation style and thinking, I want to be like Stephen Covey. So what one thing can I do that my business needs me to do so I could be more like Stephen Covey? And I ended up buying a PowerPoint projector, which at the time was quite novel. Yeah, people were still into acetates. If those people remember acetate sheets, you used to put them on the projector and then the next acetate used to go on and they used to stick to everything. I bought myself a PowerPoint projector and I needed to understand how to put together PowerPoint slides because that's what my business needed me to do, as opposed to me going off and doing another qualification. My presentations were really good, but I really wanted to step them up a bit. I think I was in the process of doing a management development program with restructuring the BBC. So it was really important I got my presentation style really well. And the audience retained excited as opposed to watching where these acetates were going to cling to next. And I employed a coach to appraise my performance. And, I had to set aside a budget. They were £3,500 then. That was a lot of money. And then on top of that, going on PowerPoint training, because I recognized all my clients were watching me. Whenever I turned up to run the training or to run a presentation in any way, shape or form, it was, the people who paid me were watching me. So it was really important I got this right. So I'd like to know what's your job in your business and run through some of these. So I'm going to come to you, Karen. So can you run us through yours? So what does your business need you to do moving forward?
I think my business needs me just to show up and actually treat it like a business. So I'm getting more focused and getting better at it and knowing my numbers and things like that. What do I do well? I'm very creative. I'm very ideas driven, but I'm also a big magpie. So I'm very good at finding shiny objects. I'm not very good at putting them down. Who's going to praise my performance? Probably you, when you keep my backside next time we meet. What actions are you prepared to go? Basically, looking at what I need, finding the gap, and sorting out the people that will help me. Who's watching me? Quite a few people, but mostly my clients, because in some respects, they follow with what I do. And some of them have actually gone and done different businesses based on what I've been able to teach them. And people I'm networking with, they're always looking to see what I'm doing next as well, to see how I can help and what the next thing is going to be interesting wise. So yeah, don't know.
It's quite interesting with Karen, you know, because Karen, if Karen was left her own devices, she would keep developing course after course after course. But what her business needs her to do is make money. She's got to make money, yeah. So I'm forever reining Karen back and saying, yeah, I know you'd like to do this, but where's the money in all this? The business needs you to make some money as well.
Yeah, and this is what I'm kind of focusing on, about showing up and knowing those numbers and getting those numbers correct, and looking at, you know, what the leads is, what's the value of a client, you know, so that I can actually start thinking in terms of marketing, so that I can get a wider audience to bring those sort of people in and start earning the money that I should be earning, but just aren't, because I keep playing small and safe. And I just have to step outside my comfort zone, which is not very comfortable for obvious reasons.
Because a lot of people start up in business and they just don't know their numbers.
Yeah.
I was absolutely clueless as far as my numbers were concerned. And when I was in the fashion design industry, this is how we price something, okay? So when it came to like a ball gown, because we were doing cocktail dresses and really fancy dresses, the pricing strategy we had is that we knew we'd priced it too high when the person blinked. That was the only thing we did. Yeah. So they were all about £1,000 plus, yeah. So we knew, it would be, the minimum would be £1,000 for something, and then it'd be how far we can go. And we know we'd pushed it too far if somebody went, that was the only way we worked out the prices, yeah. So yeah, our business needed us to work out some kind of pricing strategy other than did they blink, yeah.
Yeah, my first job though was working with an accountant and training as an accounting technician. So it's just like, you know, going back 40 years to discover what I sort of started out doing and the basic bookkeeping stuff. So it's hilarious that I've kind of gone so far back and having to go back to the front again. And all these different unremembered skills. I mean, spreadsheets I'm fantastic with, and I can do those sort of things. I just need to sort of pay more attention to them. Yeah.
So I'd like you to think about, you know, what does the business need you to do versus what would you really love your career to look like? And, you know, can you get some sort of center point on it?
I think I just need to get an accountant.
And if you're going to stay on top, you know, what is staying on top of your game all about? If you are to be the very best version of you and you're prepared to dream big, what does that look like for you? If, you know, you are playing at the very top of your game, what would that look like? And I'm coming to you, Yvonne, because in some ways, I know how skillful you are, yeah? Yvonne is super skillful when it comes to psychology and a whole history of working with families. Yet you're with Forever as well. So where do these two meet? Yeah, can you get them to meet in some way, or do they complement each other, or just do they sit out there and they're different?
I think they complement each other, because for me it's all about people's well-being and being the best version of themselves. So whether that's using Forever products to have their best health, or their best skin with the skincare, or the being their best weight? Or with the parenting, is it being the best parent they could be? You know, if you're goal mapping, are you getting the best out of your time? So are you planning properly to make the best of yourself? So for me, it's all about that holistic approach to people being the best version of themselves in whatever facet they want to develop in.
Right. So start thinking about, looking at, we can all see each other online this evening. Wouldn't it be great if we really understood what each other did to a far deeper level? Because I know, for example, Karen can help women stay on top of their game and get to the top of their game as part of their career by publishing a book. Yeah, I need to know more about how Karen can do that. But I've invested in publishing my signature program and publishing journals. But again, I would say, have you all committed to getting, whether it's a journal or your signature book written? Have you done that? Coming down to Beth, Beth the Pound, Beth is my financial advisor. And for me, my career, it's really important as part of my career, I have financial success. So again, Beth and I are going to meet in the near future because we have different career plans happening connected with our finances. So, and again with Yvonne, and I think this is something we all need to commit to with Yvonne, we're all using products, whether it's toothpaste, any kind of nutritional products. Why aren't we committing to put those purchases through Yvonne? And when it comes to Bethan, don't we all need to know a lot more about how Bethan does these turnovers with women on a marketing front in order that we can get her introduced faster to people that we're working with? I need to know that. That can be part of my career development, just knowing more about people that I can make better and quicker choices, introducing my tribe to them. And also making more appropriate buying decisions. We should all be buying from each other wherever possible. Yeah, we should be the first point of reference to one another. And I've said to Yvonne, I'm using toothpaste. I want to be using Forever toothpaste. I'm using deodorant every day. I should be using Forever deodorant. I'm eating different snacks. I should be having Forever snacks in my cupboard. So again, part of my investment in my tribe should be about helping everyone who supports me. I should be supporting them. That is part of my career development. So moving on, I'd like to know if you have any questions, or I'd love to know what you've got out of this evening and how it's going to shape your career moving forward in some way. So I'm going to come to you, Karen. What is your light bulb of learning this evening? Or what is it you're going to do differently or more of as part of your career development?
I think for me, it's going back to the basics of treating like a business, know your numbers, and just connecting with people. I do need to have a chat with Beth the Pound around trust, because that's something we need to sort out. We've been talking about it for ages, and I saw a post where she'd done something as part of her course around trust funds. So definitely have to go with that. And I definitely need to speak to Bethan at some point about social media, because I think some stuff I just need to start delegating so I can focus on the stuff I enjoy doing, and hopefully then bring in the money to do that, if that makes sense.
Lovely. Thank you, Karen. And coming to you, Beth the Pound. What has been your light bulb of learning, or what are you going to do more of or less of?
I've never examined my why in that much detail before, really, because I just kept thinking, well, you've got to have a job and you've got to pay the bills. But actually, there is more to it, which I'm quite reassured by, because I thought I was very shallow. I think one of the things I've realized from what you were just saying about what does your business need you to do, I need to say no more often. I had a client come to me end of last week asking me to speak to one of her clients. And when she told me about him, I was thinking straight away, I can't help this person Did I say no? I said, sure, book him in with me. And I spent yesterday an hour with him thinking, I knew I couldn't help you and I can't help you. I feel very sorry for you in the position you're in, but I'm actually not the right person to help you. I could direct him to somebody who could help, but really I should have done that when my client approached me and said, well, you help him. I should have said, well, actually, he needs to go and speak to this person. And I've got somebody who's contacted me now. She's already met me 3 or 4 times. I know I can't do what she needs. And yet I know tomorrow morning I'll set up an appointment with her, which isn't a good use of her time or mine, because I can't help, I can't do what she needs. So I've got to be more strict with myself and say no more often.
Well done. Over to you, Yvonne. What have you learned? What will you do differently, or more of or less of?
Well, I've learned that I've fallen in the past month, I think, into being perhaps too kind a boss to myself. And I've fallen into the habit, I think, of treating my business a bit like a hobby rather than a business, which is where I probably was about 18 months ago. And I had a severe word with myself and treated it like a business, and things improved. But I'm aware, really, thinking back over some of these points tonight, that I think I've fallen back, certainly in the last month, to treating it like a hobby again. I know my numbers and I know that I'm not doing enough.
Right. Who's going to keep an eye on you then? Who can you give those numbers to say
plateaued at a comfortable level, and therefore I'm not progressing. I have an upline in Forever who does keep me on my toes and kick me up the backside on a weekly basis. And she's been very kind to me for the past 3 weeks because her husband's been in hospital. And I think that's probably why I've plateaued and given myself a few more afternoons off than I really need.
Right, lovely.
So, but her husband's out of hospital now. She's back on the game. So I need to step up because she'll be on my back Monday.
Thank you for your honesty. Thank you. Coming to you, Bethan. So what have you learned? What will you do differently? Less of, more of?
Yeah, I think for me is that really my plan is a lot clearer than I think I give it credit to be in. And the big thing that I need to really focus now on is carving out the time. So the one thing that I know my business needs from me to hit the goal of the people that I mentioned earlier that I look up to and want to not copy, but want to use as a framework of their business models and how they work, are all very heavily on YouTube. And although I put content out for the last 2 weeks, no video has gone out because I've been back and forth to North Wales, and I haven't been at my desk to sit and edit, and it's made it that it's taken a back burner between client work and all these sorts of things. So I think it's going to be really important to make sure that I don't allow anything else to get in the way of building that channel that I know I will need if I want to build my business in the direction that I'm looking toward.
Right. Thank you. Well, thank you for your honesty this evening. And I've learned so much about each and every one of you in lots of different ways. Next week, I think it would be really good for us to get back to goal setting. I think Yvonne has given us a gentle reminder that in some ways, we've all got to become more accountable, be clear about this accountability, and then think about ways of who's going to keep us in check. So I think it's back to the basics next week on goal setting. Is everyone up for that? Because I know I need it. Yeah, I know I need it. Yeah. So Yvonne, do you fancy delivering that one? Because you're just so good at goal setting.
I could. I've just finished my training now as a goal mapping coach.
Right.
I'm now certified. That's not means I'm off to the, in a little white van with people in little white coats. So I need to practice on people. So if I do a proper goal mapping session with you next week using the proper tools, one of you will need to be the guinea pig and want to set a goal. So one of you can step up and we'll actually build your goal map online. And then if you like what you see, I can send you a link and you can do it free anyway. So you can go in then and do your own. But yeah, I'm happy to run that next week. And one of you can be my little guinea pig.
Fantastic. Thank you, Yvonne. That's so generous of you.
And you'll go away with a nice little goal map.
So same place, same time next week. We're going to be goal map. I'm excited already. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get the head focused and ready for September. Away to go. So thank you, everyone. Take care and see you next week. Bye-bye. And you're staying online, Bethan, yeah? I'm just going to stop the recording as well. Cheerio, everyone. Bye-bye. See you next week.